Afternoon. Afternoon, folks. I'm coming through okay. Hope you are well. Who's in the room today? Kowalski. Kowalski, isn't that the Monsters Inc. character? Monsters Inc. character, Kowalski? Hope you're well, mate. CNEX 4%. Yeah, decent month. I can't complain about it. I mean, I will complain about it, but I can't complain about it, I guess. 4% is still good, still good. So, Hale, how you doing, mate? Amar from Windy, UK. Hope you are well. Esmail, afternoon. Dinesh from Sydney. Ramasu? Johannes, sorry, Sweden, Netherlands. Very international bunch. Dan, how you doing, mate? That's an easy name. Hope you're all well. Welcome to the Monday scan, the Monday 50-buck competition. I'll go into that in a second. Anyway, Rohit, how you doing, mate? Let's get into the markets today. So today, this week is a very news-heavy week. And I'll show you why, actually. Andy just put something out here that I can show you about how news-heavy it is. If you look here, all those red tape news coming out this week, so be aware of that. I honestly don't think today there'll be much movement. It is a Monday, as we know, but certainly pay attention for all that news coming out this week, because it certainly will affect the markets. Okay, let's get into the SPX. The SPX is, for me, there's nothing really much to discuss here. It's risk on. It's continuing to push on. It looked as if maybe we got that, or maybe we're getting that pullback on this 4-hour chart here, but it turned into a slight HNS breaking through these highs. Personally, I'm not going to pick a top in this. You know, we had a slight gap up, but it's pushing on. So it's got to be risk on. You know, it's still that tactic of looking to sell those yen crosses makes sense for me. Possibly the Swiss crosses as well against those commodities, but we know the yen crosses have moved quite some bit, and I'll talk about that in today as well. But that's still the tactic for me, and that's what the index is saying. That's what the index is saying. Okay, dollar today. Dollar has been difficult, right? Dollar's been a little bit difficult to trade. I don't know whether you guys have been trading dollar, or if you've been trading dollar profitably. Let me know if you have been. But really, from this particular candle here, it's been quite difficult to predict. I did say on Friday it looks bearish. I mean, it did. The pullback did look slightly bullish here, and we got this massive bullish move up in the dollar on Friday evening, or Friday US session. Now, we've got to change our sentiment again. You know, it's got to be dollar bullishness, right? Maybe not right now. Maybe a pullback on this 4-hour chart. Let that 20 catch up, possibly down to here for continuation. But the bias again is got to be flip-flopping around to potentially buying this dollar on a pullback. You know, so if we take this from the daily chart here, it could be impulse, corrective, or not only corrective, but an ABC here, ABC. So you could have trapped sellers in here, trapped dollar sellers getting taken out, and we had a big bullish move to the upside. Their stops possibly taken out as well. But you've got to say it looks bullish now, and my bias would be dollar longs. I mean, that's probably what it has to be, right? Ivan, how you doing, mate? Ian, how you doing? Public holiday in Italy. This is the first time in a long time we've clear manipulations. Not many times I've been surprised and unprepared. Yeah, I see a lot, Ivan. I mean, for me now, considering if we consider this an ABC, and that premise is that stops are taken out, trap sellers here, it could be movement to the upside now on account of this impulse. Yeah, I mean that would be my personal bias on the dollar, just not yet. You know, maybe something for later on in the week, news dependent, but you guys know for me as a technical trader, I don't really care. I'm just looking at what I see, and what I see is pullback continuation. But again, very same to what I said on Friday. If you watch the stream on Friday, what I said was look for an entry. You know, just because it's coming back to this, let's say the 40-60 box, it doesn't mean you automatically go short, or it doesn't mean for me that you automatically go short. You need a reason to do that, and you didn't get that with the dollar. So the same premise for me applies. If we're looking for a pullback, maybe to this area, look for a reason to enter. Let the market give you a signal that it wants to continue with this long direction, because we've seen it flip-flop around. So it could well do that, absolutely. But that would be my bias, to be honest. Kat, how you doing? Hope you are well. Okay, the only pair that I'm really interested in talking about today, if we look at my watch list, there's hardly any on it. But I do think GJ is quite interesting. So if we go to GJ, here, look on this hourly chart. So if we look at the hourly chart, the setup is actually quite clean. Double V rev, nice little ABC corrective, pushing down now. We've not clearly broken this area and not broken out and closed underneath this area. What I'm personally looking for is a breakout retest continuation to the downside, right? In GJ. The only issue I have with this is this daily chart. We're going against trend. Okay, with these yen pairs, we're getting that 20-period catch-up, we're getting that digestion, and it certainly looks bullish. So it is counter trend. However, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So this is something I don't like about GJ, and what I don't like about a lot of pairs. For example, if we look at New Zealand yen, it kind of had not a bad context here on this hourly chart. But for me, looking at the daily, with most of these yen pairs, it's just not ready. It's just, I couldn't bring myself, from my personal style of trading, to buy this yet. Because my premise is, I want this. Do I think this is going to happen again? At the moment, no. Maybe if we get something a bit more like this, or a wedge, or whatever it is, let that 20 catch up for continuation, then yeah, I would agree with that. But I just can't bring myself to go long on these pairs just yet. I just can't, just because I don't think they're going to go massively far. However, we do have a little bit of confidence here with GJ, because if we look at this 4-hour, you can see that setup on the 4-hour. Okay? Yes, we could be tagging this trend line for continuation. It's not a breakout for me. The reason it's not a breakout is, firstly, it's not ready. I would need a little bit more. But because of this confluence here with the daily, is not there. So I couldn't take it as a breakout. Now, technically, if I'm looking at this on the 30-minute hourly chart, this 4-hour is my higher time frame confluence, technically. It's not really how I trade, but it is technically my higher time frame confluence. And you're getting some candles there, or some price action here that dictates that this could move to the downside. You know, you look at your hammer bar, obviously your lower low, within that, if you're considering Dow theory, be within that secondary trend, within the primary trend, right? So that's also very important. But we do have some indications here that this potentially wants to move to the downside. So there's no reason that during this week news could come out that the market doesn't like, considering where we are. So if we consider where we are on the SPX, we are maybe a little bit extended. You know, there is that argument. I'm not going to put a top in it, but we are maybe a little bit extended. If we get some poor news out, that uncertainty comes in, the yen could have a decent move or a decent strengthening up there. So in terms of risk-reward, remember, this is not set up yet, but in terms of risk-reward, it could potentially be something there, because there's no doubt this is nice, okay? So our $50 competition is going to be in GJ. So get your answers in for GJ. I honestly don't know what I'm going to select here. This is why I picked GJ, because I think it could go either way for Friday. So what I'm going to do is, personally, I'm just going to go bang on where it's at right now. So GJ is at 156, so I'm just going to go 156. I have a feeling it may move down here, and then Friday be at the point where it's possibly ready to move back up. So GJ, I'll go 156. Remember, if you're watching this on catch-up, get your entries in down below, but only today, or else it's unfair on everybody else. So we'll do GJ. Competition for Friday. So here, 154, you're not going 1 point next to me. So here, you normally go like one extra or one below. You know, like the Price is Right when somebody guesses $50. So here we guess 51. So yeah, GJ is the one today. And to be honest, guys, I was looking at gold against the euro this morning. This was kind of clutching at straws, I would think. The daily is good. The day was good. We got our bullish sign here, so we've got our confluence. Obviously on an uptrend, broken through structure. Looks like a retest of that structure from this fake out. Okay, so that looks pretty bullish to the upside. The 4-hour, we've got our train tracks, our bullish 180 here. Possible ABC corrective before continuation to the upside. So these two I like. I like this, I like this. Now, the actual chart, it's just, I think I was pushing it here. You know, I don't think, firstly, it's not set up anyway, it's gone, but I would want a little bit more at this section prior to the break, considering where we've come from on this hourly chart. So yeah, I mean, that's got to go. Aussie Swiss is something else I had on my list. If you guys want me to look at anything now, let me know, because I've just got Aussie Swiss and silver. So Aussie Swiss, we're kind of at the point now for this setup, this V reversal to move. We kind of need to move now, because if you consider my context and what I like to see, I don't like this section have a larger range than our basing structure. Okay, so it'll be okay, because we can kind of disregard this for me if we come back up for something to the upside, a breakout to the upside. I still like where the daily is. I actually like it a little bit more, to be honest. You know, maybe we're getting a complex back to that 20, so I actually like it a little bit more. But it needs to show me something, and it kind of has a little bit. You look at this 4 hour. If you look at this 4 hour, you're getting your big bullish bar on a little bit of volume. So if you consider this an A, possibly A, B, C, you could be maybe getting your ABC 1, 2, 1, 2, push on, maybe. Obviously, if it breaks down below, we've got to kind of reassess this, but a little bit of a bullish bar here. We are underneath the 20, so it needs to show us something. Needs to show me something in order to go long, but I still like it. I still like it. And the final one is silver. Silver on this daily. As I said, I wish I could talk about a lot more pairs today, guys, but if there's nothing there, I can't. If there's nothing there, you know, sometimes the best position is to not have a position on at all. And we're into this corrective structure, which is what we want to see in silver. So this is still looking quite nice. Pull back to that 40-60 box. Volume coming in, bullish pressure up here. Let that 20 come over. So our breakout is above the 200, not the 20, for continuation to the upside, or for a change of trend, should we say, to the upside, because this is the downtrend anchor. Okay, so this is I like. This is still setting up quite nicely for potential movement to the upside on silver, and I do like that, actually. I do like this. Fool in Japan, nice name. Hi Ryan, hope this month will be amazing like October. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, yeah, I have to say, I'm going to do a YouTube video on this today, but I think it was a missed opportunity. But as I said, I can't complain about 4%. I just can't. So, you know, if I continue to do that over November, December, and I get somewhere in the region of 20 to 30%, you never know, we could have a big month. You know, my last big month came in May, 11%, and I got 8 out of 9 trades that were less than an hour per trade. So, you know, you could say, oh, Ryan, you were just a bit lucky because you got that 4-hour trade, but that's bullshit, to be honest. It's nonsense. You make your own luck. And, yeah, I mean, I'll take 4%, you know. I'll take 4%. 154.45. Okay, guys, if you're new, if you're joining now, our competition's in GJ. So get your price in for the pound yen for Friday afternoon. US oil. Let's check oil. Oil, USD yen, gold. Okay, yeah, I'll do gold and USD yen. Oil, where's oil? Here we go. Oil looks not bad. Do you know what? I thought about this morning. Here. That looks all right. That's quite nice. Push on, decent move. We're above those moving averages now. The only issue maybe you have this. Is this an issue? Possibly. You know, decent bar here. You've had that 20-period catch-up, right? Oil's been on a decent move to the upside. In terms of intraday, yeah, that would make sense. The only thing I would be worried about, again, is I know I talk about the ABC, but it happens a lot because of this move to the upside, is how much you're going to get out of that. You know, do we think we're going to get a lot of it? I guess if you look in smaller time frames, you don't really need that much out of it. But there's no doubt that looks pretty good. Who asked me about that? Sahil. That is nice. That is nice. So, yeah, on smaller time frames, you could be all right for moving to the upside. It's certainly if it breaks out of this. Now, again, I know I talk about, you know, we're an uptrend, but again, you're going with that trend. So I don't want to pick a bottom in it just yet. You're just wary about these two candles on the daily because there are two bearish signs and quite decent bearish signs. But then you've had this daily, or this double rejection of that 20. The 20 is caught up now. So in terms of your bias, yeah, I mean, I like that. If you can break out this corrective, that would look really good to the upside. So I do like it. I agree with your bias, and the setup is nice. So yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Looks okay. Looks okay. Just watch for a deeper corrective on the daily. That's all I would say. USD yen. USD yen might not be a bad pair to trade, you know. Might not be a bad pair to trade. On this daily, looks a bit better. See, this is kind of what we're looking for. We consider this our latest impulse. You've got that complex back to the 20. The dollar looks quite bullish. The yen's obviously weak. Buying USD yen would make sense for me. The 4 hour here is not great. But again, for me, taking breakouts of key areas like this from a movement from the downside or from an impulse from the downside like this, I don't like. So if you get a pullback, which you're expecting possibly in that dollar anyway, for maybe looking at longs on a pullback or getting a 20 period catch up here, that would make sense for me. But you know, this is a bearish bar. What I would say with these bars also is use a kind of 5 candle rule, right? So for me, if I see a hammer bar or engulfer or whatever, and it doesn't take in 5 candles, you could maybe not disregard it, but you'd be more confident in, even though it's not broken the wick to the upside, if we get some what we call price acceptance here, then yeah, that would look good. So USD yen might not be a bad pair to trade, you know? Might not be a bad pair to trade on a potential pullback, I think. 155, Esmail. Okay, I'll get you all in. Gold, fool in Japan, gold. Gold, God. This dollar and this gold has been a nightmare ever since here. I mean, how do you trade that? I don't even know how you trade that. Up, down, this is okay, push on, fake out, push on, fake out, push on, and now we're coming back down. You could be looking at this. Maybe. Bias, considering where the DXY is, considering where this daily is, you're breaking out, I guess, of this valid trend line, roughly. It's in between the moving averages on this daily. I think you'd have to get confirmation of a break under close and a breaking close underneath that 20, just to kind of make confirmation of this break of structure here for potential shorts. So do I think it's a nice pair to trade? Do I think gold is nice to trade right now? No. You could be getting a pullback within this big bearish bar now. Gold does like a deeper retracement, remember, usually around that 61.8. So you could be getting a pullback here. What I would suggest if you're looking at gold, is look for a reason to enter. Again, on these pullbacks, you're kind of into a decent zone. You may have got it here on the smaller time frames. You may have got it there. It could come back and retest roughly around this area for gold for continuation to the downside, right? So that's got to be your bias. That's what we're seeing on the chart. Trade what you see, not what you think. I just think it's not in a very nice place in the daily. But if I had to give my bias, yeah, break a structure here or break a retest structure on these smaller time frames would make sense. Would make sense. But notice how we're not getting that momentum, that follow through you'd probably expect from this particular bar, which is coming on a little bit of higher volume. Fair enough, it was probably over Asia, but yeah, I would wait for confirmation, roughly around where it is, maybe the next hour or two, that it wants to either fall or continue in that pullback mode, because the 20 period is not quite caught up yet. So bias to the downside, but I'll sit a little bit on the fence with that. Hey, 34 watching. That's a record for me. Thank you very much, guys. If you can like the video, try to get me to 20 likes. That would be amazing. I appreciate that. And thank you for 600 subs, by the way. 600, we're on the train to 1,000. My goal is 1,000 by Christmas. That would be a nice Christmas present. But no, I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody liking and joining into the streams. Hopefully, I'll give you some kind of value. I don't know. Pound, who asked me? Woody. Did he check pound USD? No. Pound USD. Pound USD looks short. Pound USD looks short. If you're in it, stay in it. If you're not in it, I wouldn't be selling it just yet down here on this smaller time frames. On the daily, I would be selling it. If you're looking at, you know, in this candle here, that might not be a bad trade from a longer term perspective. We know we're expecting bullishness on that DXY, or not expecting, this is our bias. Yeah, you could see GJ come back to test this support zone, I think. You know, broken out of this support as well. You've kind of had a not very nice retest, but you've kind of had a retest on these smaller time frames. I don't particularly like the 4 hour, but it's certainly looking bearish. It's certainly looking bearish. If you're in that trade, so if you're in GJ, let's say you sold it up here or whatever, you should be locking in profit and just let it go as much as it wants to go. Let that winners run. Let your winners run. And yeah, but would I be selling it right now? No. I wouldn't be taking this break underneath. That's not how I trade. You know, if it did something like this, you know, like that, breakout retest, something like that, then yeah. But at the moment, no. However, one of the characteristics with GJ, if you've done back testing on individual pairs, is that once it has momentum, oh, sorry, GU. I'm thinking I'm looking at GJ there. GU. Or let's say pound pairs in general. The pound, once it has momentum to either side, it can lose that momentum quite quickly. And you can get moves that last quite well. So yeah, bias would be to the downside for sure. Bias would be to the downside. I just wouldn't be selling it now. If you're in it, lock in some profit. If you're not, it's just not for me. Not for me selling it. So here, cup with handle, Aussie dollar, 1 hour. Cup with handle, Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar, cup with handle. 1 hour chart. Talking here, I guess. Cup with handle here. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's not very clean, but yeah. It's not very clean, but yeah. It's quite a major area. Certainly a major area here on Aussie dollar. Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. I can see what you're saying here. That's not bad. That's not bad. I would, but the problem with this is, where's your key level, right? So is the market respecting here now? I mean, it could be. Are we looking at closures here? For me, when I'm looking at breaks of areas or significant areas, they've kind of got to be a little bit cleaner, if that makes sense. So this, it's where are you going to take your breakout? And where, if I'm taking a breakout retest, you'd have to make it clear proper structure. So you'd have to make it clear where it's kind of respecting here. In which case, it's not cup with handle, if that makes sense. So within my cup with handle, or preferably a cup with handle within a cup with handle, I know it sounds simplistic in nature, right? But the essence of it is we're getting rising pressure into an area, right? You think of that, you know, pencil. I always use the pencil analogy. When you put more and more pressure on a pencil, it eventually breaks. Or like the cops trying to break into a house with that big thingy. You know, they go bash, 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 and it eventually breaks down. That's kind of what we're looking for with the cup with handle. So why it's important is obviously one of the key areas important, but also is that we get tags on that area, tags on that key area. And if we're considering this to be probably your most respected area now, you can't really call that a cup with handle, if that makes sense. But it could be valid. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. If you get some, you know, price action here that dictates this wants to move to the downside, then yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against it. You also are going against trend, but you could be getting a rejection off that 200. So yeah, again, it's just, you know, there's pairs that I would trade and there's pairs that I wouldn't trade, and I just, you know, you're getting a few mixed messages on a Monday, which is why there's only one pair on my watches that I'm looking at. So get those high probability setups will make a massive difference. One of the things I always think myself is, obviously my personal goal is to have 400K or just over now, but 400K in equity, funded equity. So what I think to myself every time I'm going to take a trade is, if I get there and I'm placing 8K on a trade, do I really want to lose 8K and forcing a setup on a Monday, or forcing a setup on any day? You know, because what happens, certainly on a Monday, if excuse me, if you end up forcing that and you go, oh, let's just take percentages, you end up being down 2% on the Monday, what happens is you end up chasing that 2%. Instead of being on break-even point, not taking a setup because maybe you're excited to get into the markets on a Monday and take a trade thinking, shit, yes, I'm so happy the market's open. That's what I used to be. And you go ham on a Monday and lose like 2-3 trades because you're waiting for the market to open. Yeah, just wait for those high probability setups. Just keep picturing yourself on a high account and if you do the same things, if that makes any kind of difference. GJ, FX Tomcats, how you doing, mate? Sparks Red, what do you think about Cad Swiss? Cad Swiss, my least favorite pair. Cad Swiss. I think Cad Swiss looks decent on the daily now. It's getting to that area where we're digesting that decent move. I mean, it tagged that 38.2. It's like doji candle here, so it's not really a battle bar. You'd want a battle bar to come on quite high volume, i.e. your battle bar being that battle between buyers and sellers. So we've got no indication yet that this pullback is over on that daily chart. On this 4-hour, you kind of do. I mean, you've got a little bit of an inclination here that maybe this corrective period from this decent move to the upside is over. It's also come on at a better high volume, which is good. So key levels for Cad Swiss. I mean, I would consider B-Wave, if we're considering this a larger complex, this is my key level for Cad Swiss. Until then, yeah, you could take an aggressive early entry here with your stops underneath this structure. You could do that, which would make sense to me. On that 200, that would make sense. My bias is to the upside. Yeah, I mean, Cad Swiss long makes sense. You're getting in at, could be at a decent time on that 38.2 rejection coming from this impulse. Simple kind of trend theory. Cad Swiss to the upside looks pretty good. Do you mind looking at New Zealand Swiss? So we've got New Zealand Swiss. Guys, do you like this stream and share? Yeah, I appreciate that, Rohit. Yeah, like the stream, guys. Come on, one more like and I'll hit my 20 like goal, which would be great. So I'll do New Zealand Swiss and Aussie Dollar. I've done Aussie Dollar, Rohit. New Zealand Swiss and EU. New Zealand Swiss and EU. New Zealand Swiss is kind of similar to Cad Swiss. We look at where the daily is. I mean, that actually looks a little bit better than Cad Swiss. From here, rejection, if we take our key area, here, that's not bad. Again, that's a little bit better than Cad Swiss. And you've got your indication there that market maybe wanted to move up. So from a longer term play, from a 4-hour play or something, yeah, that makes sense. If we're talking intraday, this is your key area here, I would consider. Well, probably your key area, your initial key area here, but your main key area would be a break of this area. Again, if you're considering this B wave, for me, B wave is always massive. Break of B waves are always massive. We saw that with the oil trade I had recently. So breaks of B waves are massive, and that's here. But the recent kind of trend anchor, although it's a little bit messy with wicks and closes here, is at this area. But yeah, bias would be to the upside. My bias would be to the upside because it has to be. And do I think it's a decent place to entry? Yeah, absolutely. From a longer term perspective, right? So from a 4-hour daily, from a shorter term perspective, I don't really see anything there to get me in. From a 4-hour daily, and certainly from a daily perspective, yeah, I can see that as an entry there for sure. I can see that as an entry. EU's a mess. EU is a mess. So this EU, obviously very similar to the DXY, where we're thinking, right, it looks bullish right now, breaks of structure, but it did break from deep. We're looking, as I said with the DXY, for an entry on a pullback for continuation to the upside. So with that, with this price action here, and this is why I talk about price action on the breakout is quite important, because these two bars is not what you want to see for a breakout retest. It's not. And certainly not a break from this area, break from deep moving to the upside. So we didn't get any reason to enter, and this ended up coming back down. So EU, it's got to be the same with the DXY. We're in pullback zone now. So maybe back to this area, but wait for a reason to enter. So if you want to put a fib on it, we know EU likes the 50%, roughly, or normally likes the 50%, not all the time. But you look for a pullback into those areas for continuation to the downside. Now, that's not saying it has to pull back to this 50% zone. Absolutely not. You know, the 38.2 here is on quite a significant area. We've got the 20 period here, so I mean, that's what I would be looking at. I mean, I'm not going to enter into this trade, but that's what I would be looking at as a decent entry here for selling EU, in my opinion. Because if you've missed it, you've missed the move there. You've certainly missed the move. Look for an entry to the downside because dollar looks long. And now the daily looks short. Until that changes, you've got to stick with that bias. After you become famous on YouTube, thanks, Ravi, appreciate that. Somewhere in Aussie dollar also looked like a HNS. Aussie dollar, okay. I think we got up to 40 this stream. That's amazing. 40 people watching me. It's quite intimidating. Aussie dollar, HNS. Yeah, I can see what you're talking about there. Yeah, I can see that. Like I said, my bias is to the downside. My bias in Aussie dollar is to the downside, but it's just not very nice on these smaller time frames. If you're seeing an entry here, like for example, that would be a potential entry here. Right, that's a potential entry. That's a potential entry. Simple chart patterns that indicates this wants to continue down. Until then, I wouldn't be like selling this now and saying, okay, it's approaching this area. I need a reason to sell it. Okay, and that right there, that's your reason to sell it. That's your reason to sell it. That's why these simple chart patterns exist. That's your reason to buy it. Okay, you can look on the chart; they work time and time again. There's your reason to sell it. There's your reason to sell it. Simple things. There's your reason to buy it. Although that one probably didn't work out, but they're not going to work out all the time. You know, so simple things work time and time again. Time and time again. Hey, Rocky, mate. No worries, mate. You can watch it on catch up if you want. 600 in. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. 1,000 by Christmas. 1,000 by Christmas. AJ done. AJ done. Okay, I'll do AJ and that'll be me. AJ. Again, it's just a Monday, you know? It's just a Monday. So I looked at AJ, who asked me, the fool in Japan. I looked at AJ. There's no doubt here, it's a key area. B wave. Okay? You're basically your anchor to your intraday downtrend, where I consider a lot of stops to be here for sellers, which is why sometimes you get a decent push on this break. Now, if this was anywhere else, apart from where it is on the daily, that would be on my list. Okay, but the problem is where it is on the daily, because 20 period is a little bit away. Again, very similar to all these yen pairs, where the movement I consider has happened. And if it goes, okay, great, it goes. You could be into a wedging structure here, yes. But the way I look at it and the way I look at my charts and the way I want to set my trades is I'm looking for big winners. And this, for me, I just can't see it doing it. It's not saying it can't. I couldn't bring myself to take that break to the upside. So if it does, yeah, you could get a bit of pips on that break, but I would just be wary of where it is on that daily. So AJ bias would be long, but what you could see on charts like this is, you know, potential fakes, movement to the downside because this daily is not quite digested enough. That's what you'd probably see if you take that type of trade 100 times. I think you would lose more money than you make, personally. I mean, you could be getting this on the, excuse me. You could be getting this on the smaller time frames here. Right? A break of the neckline. I guess that's the neckline. Could be a reason to go short. Could be. But again, I just think this is the time where patience comes in. Time where patience comes in and waiting for this setup to come to you. As I said, for me, GJ is something I'll be looking at, but it needs to show me a little bit more before I do that. I do think we're coming to the end of it. I think a nice market is coming up. you know, maybe towards the end of this week, maybe start of next week, but getting that digestion. And that's when, like I said, you make your money. And being patient, for me, this is when I'd lose most of my money in my development phase or my shit phase when I was a terrible trader. So, yeah. Anyway. That's nice. Channel growing. Yeah, appreciate that, mate. The clock's changed in Dubai. Yeah. I think we're 3 hours. We're 3 hours ahead of the UK now. And I think they go to 4 hours soon. No. It's 3 or 4 hours. When's 4 hours? 4 hours in Christmas. I don't know when, Ian. I don't know when. But yeah, they do change. Which is a nightmare for me, because watching the football, if you're watching like a Champions League game at 7:45, it's at 10:45 here. So you can actually kind of manage it. But when it's 4 hours, the game's kicking off at 11:45, where you're not in bed till like 2 a.m., which is a little bit difficult than being in bed at 1 a.m. So they will change, but I'm not really sure when. Thanks for all the likes, guys. Legends, thank you very much. I was going to say something. Yeah, also, just before I go, because I've had a few questions about this. If you're joining Discord, firstly, thank you very much. What the Discord is, it's not a free Discord. Obviously, we give everybody 7 days free. But in order for us to track your 7 days free, you've got to sign up via the website. So, oh no, this is your dashboard, sorry. So if you're signing in directly to the Discord, there's like information there on how you sign it to start your free trial. Remember, there's no credit card, there's no all that kind of shite. I don't want to do that. If you want to do that free trial, it takes 2 minutes to register. So then we can match your Discord username to the sign-in, and then we can grant you access. So I've got a lot of questions about that, saying, "Oh, I just want the free trial." You ain't going to pay anything when you select the packages. It says within there. So just because I've had a few questions about that, and it's easier for me just to answer them all. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate all the likes, and I will see you all on Wednesday. Have a great trading day. Cheers, guys. Peace.